What makes a man head over heels for an older woman? In this video, we uncover 5 captivating signs of true love that will steal your heart.
You know, it's probably the single biggest anxiety I hear from women who are in relationships with younger guys. It's not really about the age gap itself, not visually anyway.
Right.
It's more about this feeling, this fear that in his mind there's some kind of expiration date. That terrifying thought that, maybe you're not the destination, that you're just a really wonderful stage he's going through.
Like a stopover, not the final stop.
Exactly. That fear he's just, experimenting before settling down with someone closer to his own age.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Because, the common narrative, the social mythology, love to paint these relationships as, well, fun maybe, but ultimately temporary, fragile.
That's the stereotype.
But what if we could kind of push past those myths? What if there were, say, 5 specific behaviors, things you can actually see that consistently show the difference between just a fling and a real, authentic, built-to-last commitment?
That is absolutely the mission for this deep dive. We're aiming to shift the focus from those broad cultural stories to, well, actual observable data, things we've seen consistently over decades.
Okay.
And what we found is that the real difference, between it being just a phase versus a future together, it isn't really in the big romantic promises.
Right. Words are easy.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's in 5 specific sustained behaviors, things he consistently chooses to do, especially when it's maybe inconvenient or complicated or, and this is critical, when nobody else is even watching.
So observable actions over just like grand gestures, that's really what people need to look for, isn't it?
Precisely.
And look, if this kind of insight already hits home for you, definitely hit that subscribe button now. And maybe drop a comment. What's your biggest immediate fear or question about this dynamic? It genuinely helps us figure out what to focus on in these deep dives.
Yeah, that feedback is gold.
Okay, let's jump straight into the first sign then. Because this one kind of challenges that common idea that younger guys are just inherently worried about what everyone thinks. Sign 1. He consistently prioritizes you and the relationship above what other people might think or say. But hang on, isn't that just sort of standard new relationship energy? Being defiant?
It seems like it on the surface, but it's actually much more revealing than simple defiance.
Yeah.
Standard youthful rebellion is often kind of reactive, like pushing back just for the sake of it.
Okay.
What we're talking about here is more proactive. It's what behavioral scientists might call a conscious value assessment. Yeah. It leads to this selective resistance to external judgment.
Selective resistance, meaning?
Meaning he hears the noise, from family, maybe friends, society in general, but he processes it consciously. He puts it through this internal filter where the actual value of the connection with you consistently ranks higher than getting external approval.
Okay. So basically, he's decided that what you think of him and his own sense of integrity within the relationship matters way more than, say, his judgmental Uncle Rick's comments over dinner.
Spot on. Exactly that. And you see this in his actions, right? Like, he doesn't feel the need to sort of prep you before introducing you to his friends or family, warning you about potential reactions.
Right. No, just try to fit in advice.
None of that. And when you're out together and you maybe feel those sideways glances or implied judgments, he shows zero embarrassment or anxiety about just being seen with you. It doesn't faze him.
And if someone does say something inappropriate?
He doesn't usually get overly aggressive or defensive, which can actually signal insecurity. Instead, he defends you, or the relationship, with this kind of calm clarity, a serene conviction almost. It makes his priorities unmistakably clear.
Interesting. That calmness speaks volumes.
It really does. And this kind of maturity, it has absolutely zero correlation with his birth certificate. It comes from him doing the internal work, examining his own biases, and consciously choosing the authentic connection over just, social ease. He's doing it for himself, for his own integrity.
Okay, that makes sense. That kind of public bravery, defending the relationship space, it really does set the stage for something deeper, doesn't it? Which leads us, I guess, right into the second sign. And this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. Sign 2. He shows this deep, almost like an archaeological curiosity about your life history.
Yeah, archaeological is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Because it goes way beyond the usual, getting to know you, questions you get in casual dating.
How so?
It's this intense, really genuine fascination. We sometimes call it obsessive, not in a creepy way, but in the sense of a really dedicated inquiry. He wants to understand the layers of experience that have actually formed who you are today.
Okay, but here's a question. How do we know he's not just like romanticizing the idea of an older, experienced woman?
Yeah.
Isn't there a risk he sees all that life experience as, frankly, a ton of emotional baggage he'll have to deal with?
And that is the absolute critical distinction. A man who's just passing through, who sees this as a phase, he will see your past as baggage. Maybe interesting baggage for a while, but still baggage.
Right.
But the man who's in it for the long haul, he sees your past as wealth. He genuinely wants the details, your toughest decisions, yeah. The times you really felt broken, how you put things back together, the mistakes you learned the hard way from. And this is crucial. He explores all this without judgment. He's not trying to fix problems you already solved years ago. He's not offering solutions to past issues.
So he's not looking at your CV, he's asking for your personal survival guide. He genuinely sees that experience as like emotional capital.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Exactly. Your scars aren't liabilities. They're like maps showing your strength, your resilience. He gets that you're this complex, deep person because of everything you've navigated, not in spite of it.
Okay.
And that kind of deep curiosity, it signals he's looking for an equal, someone whose wisdom he respects. He's not looking for a mother figure or a teacher or some kind of trophy. It's a real desire to understand the emotional university you've graduated from, so to speak.
I like that. Emotional university. Okay, so this respect for the past, it seems like it would naturally shift the focus toward the future together. How does that intense curiosity connect to sign number 3, which is about building the future mentally and including you as just a given?
Yeah, they flew really naturally. For sign 3, we're looking for a really concrete, often unconscious shift in how he talks about time and plans. We're not talking about grand, vague promises about someday way off in the distance.
The castles in the sky.
Exactly. We're looking for specific linguistic markers, little clues in his language that show a shift towards a shared psychological identity.
Ah, the famous predictor in relationship psychology, those collective pronouns.
That's the one. You start listening to how he talks, especially about the mundane, everyday future stuff. Does he automatically start using we and our? It stops being when I eventually retire and becomes when we retire. It's not my next big project is, but our next project or what we should do is. That consistent shift to we is a powerful indicator that the connections move beyond just attraction. It's becoming part of his core identity.
Okay, wait a minute though. Lots of people, especially younger guys maybe, can talk a big game about the future. How is him saying, when we retire, any different from just, wishful thinking or getting caught up in the romance? How do you really know it's deep?
That's a fair question. The depth isn't just in the use of we, it's revealed in the kind of future he's talking about. Specifically, the mundane nature of some of these plans.
Mundane, like boring stuff.
Kinda, yeah. He's talking about the practicalities, things like how should we reorganize the living room so it works better for both of us, or have you thought about how we'll manage healthcare stuff as we get older, or even discussing dull but necessary financial planning together.
Ah, okay. Not just fantasy trips, but like plumbing decisions.
It's exactly. Planning for the difficult, the ordinary, the unromantic parts of sharing a life decades down the line. That requires a very specific kind of faith. It shows a deep, often unspoken certainty that this connection isn't just a temporary high, but something solid enough to sustain the realities of life together.
That really lands. Planning for the unglamorous future. That feels like mature love regardless of age. Okay, so let's look at how that shared understanding, that wisdom he values, starts to actually impact him. Sign 4. Sign 4. He genuinely allows your perspective, your wisdom, to transform him. Now, that sounds like it requires letting go of some ego, right?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
We sometimes talk about this as reciprocal influence or having healthy selective permeability. Basically, his sense of self, his ego, is secure enough that he's not threatened by learning or growing or being influenced by you.
Okay.
He actually allows himself consciously to be enriched, expanded, maybe even improved by the insights and experiences you bring to the table.
So it's like his ego isn't a walled fortress. It's more like it has a really good high-tech filter that lets in the valuable stuff.
That's a great way to put it. Spot on. He's actively willing to move towards a wiser, more mature version of himself because of the relationship.
And how does that show up, like practically?
You see it in concrete changes. Maybe he starts adopting healthier habits you've talked about. Perhaps he modifies his career focus slightly after some really deep conversations you've had about what truly matters. Or he gains genuinely new perspectives on family dynamics based on what you've lived through. And here's the kicker. He doesn't just quietly make these changes. He explicitly acknowledges your influence. He'll actually say things like, you really helped me see that differently, or thanks for pushing me on that.
So he doesn't just absorb the good ideas and pretend they were his all along.
Mhm.
He gives credit where it's due.
That validation is key behavior. It demonstrates a really advanced emotional skill, the ability to evolve through love and mutual respect, not just changing because he feels pressured or afraid of losing you. It's the difference between transformation born from respect versus change born from insecurity.
Okay, that security, that willingness to be influenced,
Mm,
that feels foundational. And it kind of sets us up perfectly for the last sign, doesn't it? Maybe the most profound one.
I think so. Sign 5. It's about consistent and reliable presence, especially when things get challenging or inconvenient.
Yeah, we really need to underline consistent here, don't we? I mean, anyone can be present when things are easy and fun. That's just pleasure seeking.
Right.
It takes real character, real commitment to show up reliably when things are hard, when it requires actual emotional labor or sacrifice. That's often the deep fear, isn't it? The minute it stops being effortless fun, he's going to bolt.
Exactly. Think about it.
Hmm.
When you're sick,
Yeah.
right, really properly sick, and you are definitely not the most attractive or easygoing version of yourself.
Right. When you've got that awful flu, maybe looking like something dredged from a swamp and feeling even worse, he's the one bringing the soup without being asked 5 times. That feels like a real-life litmus test.
It absolutely is. He just appears, without needing a formal request when you're feeling low or overwhelmed. Or maybe you're facing a complicated family crisis. Something that technically has nothing to do with him, requires real sacrifice of his time or energy, and he chooses to navigate it with you.
Yeah.
Or when you're just going through a tough emotional patch, something that doesn't have a quick fix. He doesn't offer platitudes and disappear. He chooses to stay. He's just there consistently, day after day if needed.
That unwavering presence during the tough times.
Yeah.
Wow. That really does reveal the actual substance of his commitment, doesn't it?
It proves the love has moved way beyond just surface attraction or convenience. It's entered the realm of conscious, repeated choice.
Yeah.
And the impact of that kind of consistent presence, well, it can be profoundly healing, especially perhaps for an older woman who might have built up some understandable defenses over the years.
Yeah, you learn to guard your heart.
Exactly. This kind of reliability allows you to finally, maybe for the first time in a long time, relax those deep-seated defenses, to really trust that this relationship isn't just a temporary vacation, but actually feels like home. It enables true vulnerability, true intimacy.
Okay, so if we kind of pull all 5 of these signs together, the social bravery, that deep curiosity about her past, the language about the future, letting her transform it, and then that rock-solid consistency, they really do create this powerful, sort of self-reinforcing cycle, don't they? A virtuous cycle of real intimacy.
They absolutely do. Each sign strengthens the others, and the collective result, when these are genuinely present, the age difference doesn't just get ignored or minimized. It's almost completely transcended by the sheer quality and depth of the connection itself.
Wow.
And, the clinical evidence, the long-term observations, they back this up. These relationships, when built on this foundation, don't just survive. They often thrive, enduring for decades, weathering major life crises, precisely because that foundation of conscious, consistent choice is stronger than any external pressure or stereotype.
So what does this all really mean for you listening? If love, as we've kind of explored, requires this constant conscious decision to keep choosing it, to keep renewing it, maybe take a second and think, what's one difficult, maybe unromantic aspect of your own current relationship, whatever the age dynamic, that you know needs to be actively chosen, planned for, and committed to right now?
That's a powerful question to sit with.
It is. Thank you so much for diving deep with us on this. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these 5 signs resonates most with you, or maybe which one feels the most challenging to find or maintain? Let us know. And definitely subscribe for more deep dives like this one. We'll catch you on the next one.